Okay, welcome back to McCarthy Performance. Today we are milling some mass cylinder heads for an LS engine, and we got the head leveled on the machine. I'm going to run a dial indicator on it, and I have mic'd this head bolt tower here. What that's going to allow me to do is accurately mill the head and check my numbers. I've mic'd it, I've written it down, I've marked the head here just with an A, just to make it easy, and on the piece of paper I've marked it with an A, and I've marked that dimension down. So we're going to sweep the head and check it. I've run it one way already. I did a minor adjustment, so I'm going to check the head again for level, and I'm using a dial indicator. So to make sure that my level is reading true, I will use my dial indicator. It only takes a second to sweep the head. And it also tells me the condition of the head, whether it's bowed in the middle or whatever. But that's what we got going today. I had a great video for you yesterday, and I lost the whole thing. I tried to do some editing on it, and needless to say, I screwed up. So anyways, let's get going on this. Okay, so it's still reading 0. Nothing, after my minor adjustment, nothing's changed. I'm going to run it all the way to the end. I'm going to spray some dollar store Pam on it before I get cutting. I feel it keeps the chips from sticking to the head. When you cut a little tiny bit off, the chips are thinner than tin foil. They do look big, but actually I'm not taking much off. I've got my head, I know where 0 is on my machine. I'll set it at 0, I'll make one light cut, and we'll go from there. And I'll probably shut the camera off. We're reading 0 all the way across. So this head this way isn't too bad, although there's some spots I got a feeling that are going to poke up here, so we're going to see where we're at. I'm going to try to take the least amount as possible off the heads. I always try to do that. Sometimes I want to take less off the head, and sometimes the head tells me differently. Warped, whatever. LSs are usually horrible for that. This is an aftermarket one, of course. This has got a lot more material on it, so hopefully it'll go good. We'll get on it here in a minute. Okay, I put some dollar store Pam on it, and when I cut, I know where 0 roughly is, within about 1/1000 actually. The first cut, I don't go to 0 exactly. I'm going to do a 2/1000 higher up pass and see what catches, if anything, on the head. Then I have to reposition the head a little bit. That's how I do it. Somebody else may do it differently. cut it before I had a crappy cutter. You can see I got some trench tracks in here from whoever cut it before. Firing ring indentation around the combustion chambers, which is pretty much normal. I'm going to just knock it up a tick right here. We're coming all the way down to here. We're still just taking a whisper of a cut off of it. It's not very much of anything. So that was at basically 2,000. So I'm going to bump this up. Got a lot of corrosion around them water passages. That's probably going to affect my finish a little bit. Corroded aluminum like that, it raises holy hell on the cutter. So I'm going to just zero this. I'm not going to touch the machine for adjustment. Leave her right where she's at. Then the next cut I'll reset it. So there's the thou right there. We're going to stop right there. I'm going to cut this in real time because I tried to speed it up for you guys because I know you guys get bored watching this. It's like watching paint dry, but that's how I lost. I had valve job, Subaru heads I was working on. I repaired an oil pan. I had a bunch of stuff on the last one. So it just ain't going to happen. I'm not going to speed up my videos. That cut and we'll see where it's at. Of course, because I raised it, I lowered it here essentially. So we'll have to make a finished cut. Right now we're really not taking hardly anything off the head. You still can see passage marks, firing ring marks. You can see everything on that side of the head. We call it just a real thin cut. Picking up the other side of the head. This cut here should be good. Then I'm going to determine how much I think I need to take off the head and I'll drop it down. I'll show you just how bad their cutter is or was on their finish. You can see that there's trenched. You can see up here I still have firing ring marks, water stain marks or coolant marks. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to call that 0. I'm going to let her go back down the head a little further. Now I'm going to set it up to take a finished cut. I am going to set the head down for 2,000ths on this pass. I'm going to dye the back lugs here with a marker and see where we pick up at. Usually on the back cut, you see that's aluminum wanting to stick to the head. So that's why I use that pan, because it's hard sometimes to get it back off. There's a little bit of scouring here from the combustion chambers. This was a nitrous engine, so obviously that's what that's all about. We'll get you back up here and we'll continue the program. Some low spots, some serious trench marks. They must have tried to cut it with a butter knife because that finish sucked. So I'm going to set it for 0. I'm going to come down and I'm going to take 2 off. I'm going to put a little bit of ink on this. Make sure that we're cutting the whole head. Okay. Go down 2. Old machine, I always give it a little crank with the channel locks. Probably don't need to, but I do. Okay, we'll see where we're at. Of course, I can re-verify my dimension here because I already got the measurement before I started cutting the head. So I know exactly how much I took off this head. I believe that this is going to do it, so it's not going to take too much. So the heads weren't in horrible shape, but the finish was horrible. Okay, we're knocking the dye off the ears, so I know that passed. Cleaned the whole entire head up. When in doubt, I always put some marker on the deck. When it leaves here, I want it completely as flat as I can make it. Of course, with the equipment that I have. That's truly a better surface than what we had on it, or what they had on it. A little bit better surface with the polycrystal diamond. That's what I'm using on this. If I slow down my speed rate a little bit, I'd have to re-pulley it. This machine was originally set up for rocks. It was a grinder. But, you know, I'm pretty damn happy with the finish that I'm achieving with it, so I don't know if I'll ever fool with it by slowing it down. But I've given it some thought about slowing it down a little bit. I think it would give it a little bit better finish. Aluminum still wanting to stick to the deck. But it's coming off, but it really wants to stick down. Sometimes it's a real bugger to get that off without marking the finish up a little bit, you know. And I'll take you off the tripod and you can take a peek at it. We're finishing up on this cut. I don't believe I'm going to take any more off this head. It's like I said, I don't really want to take any more off than I absolutely have to. I'm more than happy with that finish. It's heads and shoulders above what was on it. So this is the final finished cut. I'm going to shut the machine off and set up for another head. 91. Okay, before I take the head off, I like to break the corners a little bit, edges, file. Check the combustion chambers, nice and smooth. There's no sharp edges on them. You don't have to deal with that. Piece of sandpaper works good too. If anything, it keeps the customer from poking a hole in his hand from it being sharp, so we're good. So this is the second head, and we're done with it. It should be within about 1/1000th from the other head. I got some new wall art. That was a poster signed by Smokey to a friend of mine, Mike Watson. Knew him for many years. Was definitely into cars and engines. Had a lot of interesting conversations over the 40 plus years that I knew Mike. Didn't get as much done as I would have liked to today. I had to deal with some customers, but we got the LS heads all washed, back angled, softened up the combustion chambers. There's no offset from the 35 into the valve job, so the chamber is rolled into the 35. It's not bad. It's pretty decent. It's better than it was. These seats were very eroded. So, but we got them all back set to go together, just waiting on the pack springs. Got a set of 360 darts here that I'm going to be kind of reworking them. We're going to put some titanium valves in them. I made up these pliers here, and I don't believe I showed these. They use two different size seals. If you look at it, it's head damage, but I was able to get the one style seal off without damaging it. Well, that's about it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll probably be doing some 283 stuff and 383 stroker. I'm going to get back on that.